Yo, what's up, YouTube? Man, it's your boy Ashton Jackson, and in today's video, man, I'm going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys and what moves should they make, because today is June 1st, and from today throughout the week, there will be guys being traded, released, cut, all type of those things to free up money for their respective teams. And I'm going to give you guys a list of names that the Dallas Cowboys should look to either sign in free agency or trade for before teams decide to release these teams onto the open market, and then it'll have to be a financial bidding war. Then some teams would rather right now at this time they'd rather compete and give up picks than rather compete financially. So before we hop into the video, I would appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. And hopping straight into it, you guys can tell right here I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons, man. And the first player we're going to be looking at is Kyle Pitts. He has been, talked about a lot, and as somebody who, the Atlanta Falcons just are trying to get rid of, not necessarily trying to get rid of because they haven't gotten rid of him yet, but this is a team that a lot of people are trying to trade for. This is a guy that a lot of people have a lot of high hopes for, and they're hoping that they pan out and become something. So really, get that out of here. So really, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, man, I'm looking to trade for a guy like Kyle Pitts. Why? Because Dak Prescott does really well throwing to the tight ends, throwing down the seams, and plus, Dak Prescott has never had a tight end like Kyle Pitts ever. Kyle Pitts won the John Mackey Award while he was at Florida. Talking about Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a 6'5", great weapon in my opinion. I just think it's very tough for him. You just think about his stats, right? You look at his first year when he came in as a rookie. He had 1,000 yards, and that was with Matt Ryan, and that was Matt Ryan's second to last year. He was well on his way out of the door. And then Kyle Pitts' second year, he had Desmond Ridder throwing him the football, and then also he was injured, so he only played 10 games. He only had 356 receiving yards. And then he had Desmond Ridder for a second year, 667 yards. And then that last year that he just came out of, he had, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix throwing him the football. So he has a lot of, things to combat and things he has to worry about. But I mean, he's only 24 years old. He won't turn 25 until the season starts. As you can tell right here, who his NFL agent is, David Muguleta for Athletes First. So again, he has the same agent as Micah Parsons, and yes, he's playing on his fifth-year option, so you're not really relegated to pay him. So I think that would be smart for the Dallas Cowboys to trade for him. I think, we can unlock him here, and I would just love to see what this team can do with a single back formation. We're playing under center. We have Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts to throw the football to alongside with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And what I mean by with the George Pickens situation you can have with Kyle Pitts is that you don't have to pay Kyle Pitts. You trade for Kyle Pitts. He's going to play for one more year. You can either decide to tag him or you can just let him go, and a team will sign him. If they give him a big enough contract, you can get possibly a bigger comp pick. It had been reported that the Atlanta Falcons they're asking for a day 2 pick. Will they get a day 2 pick? No. From the production, as you can tell from right here, he has not touched 1,000 yards or even got close to 1,000 yards since 2021, and that's been 4 years ago. In the NFL, you got to update your resume. So I don't think they're going to get that day 2 pick that they're looking for. I think they say that because they're looking for a sucker. But realistically, they're going to start getting day 3 picks, whether that's a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick. I don't think they're going to get anything too crazy for Kyle Pitts. And since we're on the topic of tight ends, let's go to another tight end that's already on another contract that we necessarily don't have to worry about, and that will be Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet right now just got a contract not that long ago. He signed a 4-year, $50 million contract. And 2020, I forgot what time that he exactly signed it. So if they gave him a 4 year, so he just signed it last year. He didn't sign it too far off. Look, if you see right here, a potential out in 2026. If they were to get rid of him now, they'll only be eating a $4.8 million cap hit. They can get out of his contract next year, only have to deal with 3.2. And his last year on his deal, they don't have to deal with 1.6 if they were to get rid of him. Why am I even talking about Cole Kmet? Because somebody has to get the ball in Chicago. Now, I understand that with Chicago, it is a little bit tough because They have a new head coach in Ben Johnson. They got a OC, Eric Bieniemy, who I believe will not have a problem getting these guys to football. But you're gonna have a second-year quarterback in Caleb Williams. You got Roma Dunze. You got DJ Moore, who was crying about not getting the ball. And then you got what's the other one? They just drafted Luther Burden in the second round. And then also the round before that, in the first round, they drafted Colston Loveland in the first. So there's a logjam for talent, and I think the odd man out could potentially be Cole Kmet. People are thinking DJ Moore, but I don't think they're going to get rid of DJ Moore just because if you just look at the details of his contract, it's not that crazy in my opinion. So, but again, look, if you were to get rid of him, you're only going to, depending on the cap structure, and that has to be talked out with two teams about whether or not how much of the contract are you willing to take. But I'm willing to take on a contract like this. You don't really have to worry about paying him. If Jake Ferguson doesn't pan out, Jake Ferguson can walk. You can possibly get a comp pick for him. But I think you should possibly think about trading for a guy like Cole Kmet. He's not on a too crazy deal. He only counts for 4.1% of the cap. Um, he has a cap hit of 11.6 over the next 3 years, which isn't crazy compared to what you look at right now with some of the players on our current team as of right now. So I mean, he won't be taking up that much of your cap. And if you were to get rid of him again, look at the cap you would have to be taking right here. I don't think it would be too bad. And that's just another receiving threat that you can have. And then statistically, you look at his stats, right? 2020 came in, he had Justin Fields. Look, he had 243 receiving yards. Then he got better each and every year from that point on, 612. He had 0 touchdowns that second year, but that first year had 2 touchdowns. His third year, he had 7 touchdowns. 2023, he had 6. And then last year, he only had 4, but he had 474 receiving yards with a new quarterback and things of that nature, right? Again, this is another athlete's first type of player. So I wouldn't mind trading for a guy like Cole Kmet. I'm just looking to get better at the tight end position. I understand that we do have Luke Schoonmaker and that we do have Beverin Spam Ford, but I just want to get better at the tight end position, in my opinion. I don't think Jake Ferguson or Luke Schoonmaker is going to I don't think Luke Schoonmaker or Beverin Spam Ford is going to be able to push Jake Ferguson off the bridge. And the proverbial bridge I'm talking about is competitively for a roster spot. The next position that I really want to talk about really is D tackle. Now we can go to our lads for this one. We can do NFL depth charts. We're going to really sort it out by position. And by position, we're going to do nose tackle, right? D tackle, we talked about this before in length. I talked about, going down to the NFC North and looking for your defensive tackle. Whether if you want to get back Andrew Billings, who had a really decent year under Matt Eberflus, you can get him possibly for a cheaper contract. But really, I'm looking at Detroit. Look at the nose tackle position. Look at all these D tackles they have. They have 10 defensive tackles going from left to right. DJ Reader is somebody that makes sense. If you look at the breakdown of his contract, it's not that bad. He only going to account for like a $5 million cap hit against them. Look, they can get out his contract this year. He only accounts for $5 million against their dead cap hit. He only counts for basically $13 million against the cap, which only percent of the league cap, which would be 4.6. It would not be too crazy. He has void years into his contract that Detroit has to take on, but I'm not too worried about that. We really need a defensive tackle in this room. I talked about DJ Reader in full length before. Somebody else that I'm talking about, or that I'm thinking that the Dallas Cowboys should go out and look for to trade, is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, just anything in purple is really either new additions or rookies. Deion Walker is a rookie. They just drafted him in the 4th round. They got TJ Sanders, who they drafted in the 2nd round. Dwayne Carter, who they drafted last year in the 3rd round. They got him. They signed Larry Ogunjobi. They have Ed Oliver, who is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. You got DeQuan Jones, who can be a nose tackle for you as well. If somebody you want to trade for. But I would like Larry Ogunjobi, but they're going to keep that. And the Bills, they're a team that knows how to stop the run. They're a team that likes to stop the run, and they have to stop the run because of the conference in which they play in. But if you're the Dallas Cowboys, I'm looking at either DeQuan Jones, or I am looking for a guy like who I just said, DJ Reader, right? You can look at other teams, but I don't think that a lot of teams are going to be giving up some of their better defensive tackles. Some teams value the defensive tackle position, and the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, are not one of those type of players. Now we're going to be looking at the running back room. I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys should be looking at running back. Now, in my opinion, running back is a tricky situation. The Dallas Cowboys, it has been reported that, plenty of times that the Dallas Cowboys are not looking for a running back. That is fine. But that is because there's possibly nothing on the running back market that the Dallas Cowboys like. Again, what we might like as fans, our teams might not like it. They're not even part of the equation for them at all, right? So we go down over here to Spell Track. We look at available running backs. If you really look at the available running backs, Nick Chubb is a player that has been talked about a lot. They're saying that his league market or market value could be 3.5 million or 3.3 million. I don't think that's going to happen, and especially when you're signing somebody this late into the NFL year, as it is pretty late. They're not going to be garnering a lot of money. We talked about that a lot. If we're not going to get Nick Chubb, I would like J.K. Dobbins. Maybe Cam Akers is like a guy who can push who can push Deuce Vaughn or Miles Sanders in that way, but I don't see him being a potential starter for you. But a running back I've been eyeing a lot has been Brees Hall. Just look at this running back room. You got Donovan Edwards, you got Isaiah Davis, you got Braylon Allen, who they both drafted in the same year. You got Brees Hall. They have a crap ton of running backs, and if they are going to dispose of a running back, it's more than likely going to be Brees Hall. He's on his last year of his deal. He was drafted in the second round in 2022 out of Iowa State. This is, a player that could have won Offensive Rookie of the Year if he never got hurt. So he's a damn good player in my opinion. Again, terrible situation similar to what Kyle Pitts and we talked about. That's why the most cliche type of thing that they say in this league is that it's not when you get picked, it's where you get picked. He got picked to a terrible situation in my opinion in New York. But I would love to trade for him. Again, you can give up a day 3 pick. That's somebody that you can either pay or somebody that you can decide to walk. But whatever your choice might be, I think he really helps you year one of him stepping into the building, in my opinion. Another running back I was looking at is you look at the Jaguars. Just look at everything that's in that, again, in that lighter, uh, you got LaQuinn Allen out of Syracuse, who I liked a lot. You got Bashaw Tune out of Virginia Tech, who I liked a lot. And then you got Jaquin Jackson for them as well. You got Tank Bigsby. They have a crap ton of running back. That's a log jam at running back. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I look at Travis Etienne, somebody you can throw the ball out of the backfield to. He can run in between the tackles, run outside of the tackle box. He can make plays. I really like Travis Etienne a lot. This is somebody that I think we can trade for. The last running back I have on my list that we're going to discuss is if we go all the way down to the NFC West, I think we should possibly look at Kenneth Walker. I think if you look at Kenneth Walker's game, I think he can fit what we can do here in Dallas. I really like his game a lot. Again, another player that can catch out of the backfield. But this is another player similar to Brees Hall that has been dealing with a bunch of injuries. Again, you still have Javonte Williams. You still have Jaden Blue. You have all those guys. But again, I'm more of a let's fix the top of the roster, and whoever you think is really at the top of your roster that you like a lot, bump those guys down. That's what Philadelphia does. I hate Philadelphia, but Vosh Lombardi talked about this point a lot. The Dallas Cowboys view team building differently. They view free agency as we fix the bottom of our roster, and then in the draft we fix the top of our roster and we fix anything in between. But for me, if you can trade for somebody that can be better than what you got in the room, do it. Kenneth Walker for me would be not honestly, he would without a doubt be your best starting running back. And why am I even talking about Kenneth Walker? And no, they're not going to get rid of him. Well, if Damien Martinez is anything that is advertised like how he was at the U, in which I really like to tape a lot, and I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to draft him when I saw he was going that late, I think he would have been a great power back for us. Yes. Now, when I say power back, you think, okay, well, isn't that what Zach Charbonnet's job is to do? Yes, that is. But Zach Charbonnet has been one of their lead backs, especially when Kenneth Walker goes down, and they don't have a whole lot of depth behind him. So I think that again, carrying 3 running backs. How many running backs are the Seattle Seahawks going to carry under Mike McDonald? Or my bad, Mike McDonald. But I'm not really too sure. But if they want to keep 3, I think their 3 could be Damian Martinez, Kenneth Walker, and Zach Charbonnet. But if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm looking to possibly trade for Kenneth Walker. And again, just call and check on them and see what they're about, of course. And then for these last 3 players, I'm going to be talking about their older guys or older type of vetted type of players. I think another position we could be looking at is middle linebacker. Yes, I understand that we do have Jack Sanborn. He's going to be like your Eric Kendricks of last year, how he was for Zimmer. Jack Sanborn is going to be the guy that you bring over here, and he's going to be able to, relay and talk that language that, you know, Matt Eberflus is able to do. So you got him as well. But I just want to get better at that linebacker position, man. CJ Mosley, for me, would be one of those guys. I know he's dealing with a neck injury. But if you don't want to deal with neck injuries, just bring back a guy. For me, I would like CJ Mosley, but if you don't want to bring him back, I understand. But I'll bring back Eric Kendricks. Again, this is another guy, 33 years old. Him and CJ Mosley are around the same age. You can bring in Eric Kendricks, bring him in on a one-year deal again. And again, you can never not have enough talent at the linebacker position. Yes, you do have Kenneth Murray Jr. Yes, you do have Jack Sanborn, who I just talked about. You have Maris Luafau. Yes, you have DeMarvin Overshown coming back. But I just want to get better at that linebacker position. And I think when you have Eric Kendricks, and if you fix that defensive tackle spot, you add a guy like DJ Reader, or you trade for Daquan Jones from Buffalo, and you get a real run-stopping defensive tackle in here, I really do think that you can cause a lot of havoc if you have a real linebacker that can move. And I think Eric Kendricks is one of those guys that can move even at his age, but you're just going to have to get better up front, which I think we will. So those are the two. And then my last player that I want to talk about really is Von Miller. Von Miller falls into that type of category for me, in which I always wanted him to be a Dallas Cowboy. Adrian Peterson was one of those guys when he left Minnesota. He went to New Orleans. He went to Arizona. He went to all these 45 places. I had at least one of those 45 places to be Dallas. I always wanted a guy like Adrian Peterson to be a Dallas Cowboy. And for me, one of those guys that I just want to be a Dallas Cowboy, for me, if I can find him at all, is Von Miller. I don't know. He's a defensive end, but they might just consider him. Yeah, so Von Miller will be at the top of that. Von Miller is 36 years old. It was reported that he wants to at least play one more year. And if he can come home and just play for his childhood team, why not? He's 36 years old. I view him in the same light as a Stephon Gilmore, where these are mercenary for hires. These are guys that you add to your team, and they're just depth pieces. Imagine having Micah, Von Miller, Donovan Ezeraku, Dante Fowler, Sam Williams. You can never not have enough edge and pass rushers in this league. Because I tell you what, if Dallas Cowboy fans, they might be upset at themselves and be like, he's old, whatever. But if San Francisco were to do it, if Detroit was to do it, if Philadelphia was able to do it, and again, I hate bringing up Philadelphia, but that's what they do. They got rid of Bryce Huff. They traded him to San Francisco for pennies on a dollar. They just got some draft capital back from a guy like that. But I won't be surprised if they add a Von Miller. Matthew Judon is still available. That can be a younger type of guy you can bring in. Preston Smith isn't too terrible. But if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, Jadeveon Clowney always has a job. I would love if we can maybe bring him in as well. But Von Miller, for me, is one of those guys I would love for the Dallas Cowboys to bring in. Again, you look at all these guys that are available. They're not going to be demanding much money, and we're late into camp anyway. These are a lot of older type of guys, so you don't really have to worry about give them a bunch of money or promising them a roster spot. These guys are going to have to fit in where they get in, right? So for me, if we're going to recap, this is about the end of the video. The players I think the Dallas Cowboys should make moves for, both tight ends, either Kyle Pitts or Cole Kmet. I love what we can potentially look like in a 12 personnel type of situation. And then, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. You're going to have 2 wide receivers, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. If you can trade for either have a rotation of Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts, or Jake Ferguson, Cole Kmet, have, Schoonmaker and Beverly Span 4 or 5 out for the 3rd roster spot, and the best player stays. I would love to trade for DJ Reader. We need a defensive tackle. We can have all these great skill positions and hype up about, what can we do when these guys get back. But if you can't stop the run, it's going to be another long year for you as well, because teams are just going to continue to run on the Dallas Cowboys until we're able to stop it. Running back room, I'm always looking to upgrade that running back position. Whether we trade for Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker will probably be my mainstay choices. But if you want to go for a cheap but effective running back, you can go get Travis Etienne. He probably won't cost you a whole lot of money. And especially look at the log jam for the Jets and the Jags. They have a bunch of young players anyway that can take those guys' spot. So, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you got to think about that as well and about trading for some of those guys because I think Brees Hall, Travis Etienne, and Kenneth Walker, they come in and they're automatically the best players on the roster. And then linebacker, if you want to get better there, have more vetted type of players, bring in either C.J. Mosley or Eric Kendricks. And last but not least, one of the guys I would like to sign is Von Miller. Bring him in as an edge pass rusher. Can free up some of your better players, and you can never not have enough pass rushers in this league. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.